Hiya, Tansy.
Hello.
Welcome. We just wanted to have a little chat with you about what experiences you offer on the We Offer Wellness platform. And
Hmm.
as I understand, you're a forest bathing guide and outdoor life coach. And
That's correct.
on the We Offer Wellness platform, you offer obviously forest bathing, a wellness walk, a nature retreat for two as well. And there's like a group mini retreat as well. So we want to find out a
Yes.
little bit more about those. But first of all, can you just let us know, like, where did it all begin for you? Where did this nature loving Tansy come from?
Yeah, it's interesting actually because it happened quite organically. My previous career, I was event manager working in London, really busy, really fast paced. I worked my way up to sort of senior event management level, and I gained a few qualifications in management coaching. So
Okay.
then when it was time to have a family, and I realized that event management really wasn't conducive to raising children because the hours were very long and lots of weekends and things. My first instinct was to go for coaching. So I went and did a formal training in
Okay.
personal coaching to become a life coach.
Okay.
At the same time as I was doing that, I was actually moving through quite a difficult time in my life. And I would take my dog for a walk, but something kind of shifted a little bit in the dynamic of those walks. I realized that they were becoming quite a source of self-care,
Mhm.
that I was walking slowly, I was taking my time, and I didn't really have the terms mindful walking or forest bathing back then. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that in the slowing down, I was sitting on benches, I was just kind of like gazing around me. And then I would come back from that walk and think, oh my God, I feel so much better. I feel lighter. So that kind of sparked my curiosity. And then when I set up my coaching practice, I had this idea. I thought, well, why don't I offer walking with my clients? Because it's been so kind of therapeutic for me. Maybe it will help the process.
Mhm.
And it did. It was quite a game changer for the coaching process because walking and talking is so beneficial and very different to static talking.
Mhm.
And that's where it just all just began to like really open up for me. I was just like, wow, being outside, connecting with nature, walking, talking, all of these elements are really powerful. So then I went on to train in the forest bathing and natural mindfulness. I'm also training qigong as well, and so it's all just come together to culminate in offering these different services, if you like, events, workshops. Yeah,
Oh.
it's been lovely because it has, like nature, it's been quite organic, the unfolding of it, and I've learned to really trust that and to turn to nature for guidance and wisdom in terms of like, well, just trusting in the path that I'm on. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, that's really lovely, and it's lovely to see that it's evolved for you and obviously helped others as well. If I did that with my dog, sat down and took it all in, they'd be like, "What are you doing?" They would
Yeah,
go a bit weird.
she's pretty good at forest bathing, bless her.
That's
She's
lovely.
very sweet. She's very happy to like sit next to me and watch the world go by as well. I mean, I have got a new
It's
puppy now,
calming.
and she's a completely different kettle of fish. So
Oh, okay.
I get it. I get it now.
So with the, because I've heard that before, because I did like a mental first aid course
Mm,
with a previous job, and they said about maybe taking them for a walk around the block rather
yeah.
than just sitting there and it's quite intense face to face or even side to side. So do you find that people open up a little bit more when you are walking? And I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
does it just help
Yeah.
in that respect?
There's so many factors that are involved in when you're walking and talking, and that's why I'm so thrilled to see so many more counselors taking their work outside, so many more coaches. It is really an amazing practice because, well, first of all, yeah, you're side by side, you're not having to face each other, so there's a reduced amount of eye contact,
Hmm.
and the feeling of solidarity as well. You're walking alongside somebody, supporting them with whatever they're going through on their journey. Also then, often we're static, aren't we, in our lives? We're sort of sitting, staring at screens, and we cut ourselves off from the body, and we're spending a lot of time camped out in our thoughts. So when we walk, it's like the body gets to contribute because the blood's flowing around the body. The
Hmm.
heart's beating. We're taking deeper breaths, and so suddenly the body starts contributing to your thought processes, your creativity, your compassion, obviously your heart, your courage, your belly. So there's all this, this goodness that we have from here down that gets to kind of be involved in that process. And yeah, I mean, I offer Sometimes I'll offer just a short mindful walk within my workshops. In January, which I'll definitely have up on the site, I do an annual walk I call the Soul Setting Journey, where I take a
Ah,
small group of women out on a sort of a whole day walk. It's about 7K, but we do that over the whole day, so it really isn't like a massive slog, but I get them walking and talking. They go through this kind of coaching workbook where they look into who they are, what's important to them, and how they want to show up for the year ahead. And that's always a really popular event. And then
mm,
I walk, like I say, the one-to-one walks that I offer, the well-being walks. I call them well-being walks because they are a combination of kind of therapeutic coaching, mindfulness, connection to nature, a chance just to sit and be rather
mhm.
than the constant doing that. Women, we tend to always be on the go. So giving them permission to, go and sit by that tree and just look at the trees blowing in the breeze. And that sounds really simple, but it's incredibly powerful to give someone that chance to just sit and
Yeah.
they don't have to do anything. They just are allowed to be. So
Yeah, and slow
yeah,
down. And you notice so many different things as well. Like, I think I've read in the Urban Monk book, like he did the same trail over and over again, but he saw the different stones on the floor, like totally
yeah.
different. You pick up on so many things
So
when
true.
you
I mean,
slow
I
right down.
I walk in the same places, and I'm always seeing something new because yeah, you're right. Our attention is often so controlled by technology or by thoughts or we go out for walks and we put headphones on and listen to a podcast or we might be just deep in conversation and all those things are fine, but I say to people the difference with what I do is like offer your attention to your senses. So what are you seeing, what are you hearing, what are you smelling, touching, what can you feel, the breeze on your skin, looking at movement, looking at light, and suddenly the world just comes alive for you. You're really plugged in to the present moment as well because thoughts don't want you to be here, they want you to be either in the future or in the
Yeah.
past. So when you plug into your senses, it's like, wow, I'm really here. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And then you offer,
powerful.
like you just said, the coaching aspect with your qualifications there. So with the coaching aspect, when it's one-on-one, is that you're generally just asking questions that come to you and feel right. And then with a group, is it more of like a journaling, you give them a booklet rather than going around to each kind of person?
Yeah, so I mean, my coaching style has changed very much in line with looking at nature because actually we forget that we are nature as well. We're the only species that's decided, oh, we're not in that team. We're just going to go and do it our own way. But we are. We're nature. And when we look at nature and we can see all these amazing principles, nature teaches us amazing lessons in resilience and how to adapt and
Hmm.
trusting in our growth, not needing to control which way we're sort of growing all the time. So but the coaching is much more therapeutic in terms of honoring cycles within us and honoring the journey and looking at how we can lean into nature for support. And yeah, that will mean that we do reflective questioning practices on a one-to-one basis, just seeing what comes up, what people
Mm.
notice and what that might mean. And yeah, with groups, it's either a reflective where I get them talking in pairs or they work through a note, a workbook, and doing some journaling. I do intention settings. I mean, I've got
Mhm.
coming up this Saturday, a spring equinox retreat, which is sold out now. But yeah,
Oh, amazing.
it's it's a great time at equinox and solstice to take stock and think about, well, actually the changing of the season and the changing in the light and what does that mean for us. Actually spring equinox is almost like a new year rather than January the 1st because it's a celebration of new birth, isn't it? A rebirth
Mm,
but
mm.
we often kind of think, oh, we've got to get up and get going on January the 1st. But nature's not doing that. So we shouldn't feel that pressure. And actually, that with the increased light, we have more energy around springtime. And that might be a good time to implement some new intentions and think about what we want to manifest for the year ahead. So yeah, I do fire pits and
Oh, cool.
foraging, and do some nice guided meditations. And fundamentally, it's just that feeling of being outside in the fresh air, connected to the elements, can be so deeply nourishing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you go barefoot? Are you
Yeah.
grounding?
Yeah. Yes, I do. In this in the drier months, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
where we're walking at the moment, that we're out, it has been muddy, so people need to bring their wellies and their boots
Yeah.
if they want to. If they want to, earth. I think my approach is very down to earth. I think sometimes you need to be wary with these practices that you're not placing a barrier to it, and so I leave it open, like, the big old stigma around tree hugging, and I would never ever force anybody to hug a tree. I think that it's a personal journey to grow a bond with nature, and that doesn't have to be deeply spiritual, it doesn't have to be woo woo, anything like that. I think it's something that's vitally needed, that we all need to have a better connection to nature, because we
Mm.
need nature and nature needs us. Um, but yeah, I do leave things very open. So even with the barefoot walking, if I'm having a session where I say, right now we're going to take off our shoes, but if somebody doesn't want to, then certainly I would never sort of force them into that. So it's an exploration, really. It's an invitation to kind of explore with your senses, try out, but only what feels comfortable. And
Mm.
yeah, I like to, like I say, I'm down to earth. I like to have a giggle, like to have a laugh in my workshops, and just feel a sense of community as well.
Yeah, I've always found when I've grounded and walked a little bit in nature, it's always made me feel more like centered and more
Mm.
present. But only again when it's a warmer month and I do it for a little bit. You've
Yeah,
got to be
get
careful. You're stepping
like
on and
mud
stuff.
squidging between
Yeah,
your toes at the moment.
but
Yeah, I
it
mean,
does. Yeah, it feels lovely, and obviously there's loads of benefits to that.
yeah,
Um,
there is. There's been loads of research done on it now. And same with all kind of nature connection practices now. There's
mm,
tons of research that's backing it up. They've done lots of research in Japan where the term forest bathing comes from. It's actually from the word Shinrin Yoku,
mm-hmm,
which translates as forest bath. And so out there they've done loads of research and found how it regulates your nervous system through lowering your blood pressure, your heart rate,
mm-hmm, yeah,
cortisol levels. And it's great for your immune system because the trees are emitting particles and you breathe those in. So, and then, yeah, the earthing, obviously, the negative ions in the earth,
yeah,
you can absorb those through bare skin. So there's research that backs all of it up, which is wonderful now, because I think sometimes we like to have that to know, well, actually, is this doing me any good? But it makes sense, doesn't it, that if we are
yeah.
nature, that's that we would thrive in a natural environment, because that's kind of where we've come from. So
100%. But some people, like you
yeah,
said, like that scientific evidence to back it up rather than just, oh, it makes me feel good.
yeah.
Who do you normally support then? Who's your like ideal clients or people you often see come to you or drawn to you?
Um, I mean,
Is
I
it
do
women? Because
predominantly,
you mentioned about
yeah.
women. Is it only women that you
No, no.
personally like? Okay.
I predominantly work with women, and a lot of my workshops, my retreats are aimed at women. However, the forest bathing, standard kind of forest bathing workshops are open to men and women. And I'm delighted to see more men coming, because it's not just, self-care is not just for women, it's for men as well. And I did actually have two men inquire about my soul setting journey this
Ah,
year, and I had to
yeah.
say to them, I'm really sorry it's only for women. But it really made me think about offering next year. I might offer a women only one and a mixed one as
Mm-hmm.
well, because if the need is there, or there's a desire for that, then I'm happy to guide that. It's just that sometimes, I suppose, in the workshops we talk about more emotional content. We're maybe talking about themes around honoring cycles,
Yeah, I thought you was gonna
for
say that.
women, because women are cyclical beings.
Yeah.
So there's lots of talk about menopause, or just hormones, and motherhood, and all of these sort of themes come up. But like I said, I'm very happy, and I do offer on the private, obviously, which I know I've got listed on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
People can book, with their families as well. I take families with young children as well, which is lovely, because it's sort of something nice for them to do as a family. The kids get to learn a little bit of mindfulness, but in a fun way. But then also, I'm able to give the kids an activity to do, and then give the parents a nice grounding exercise
Yeah.
as well. And I've got a little campfire kettle, and they help me make up a little fire, and we have hot chocolate and things like that. So yeah, I mean,
That's
I work with a
lovely.
lot of people, but predominantly, yeah, I would say, women is the biggest target.
Hmm. And with the qigong that you mentioned, is that for what one is that for? I wrote down your mini retreat. What one? Where do you normally go
Yes,
for that?
that would be included in my kind of mini nature seasonal kind of retreats that I offer throughout the year, where I
Hmm.
do a combination of mindful walking, qigong, forest bathing, and then there's usually like a fire pit. So we do a little bit of guided meditation, intention settings, and I'll normally make a kind of seasonal soup. So we sit around the fire and have a mug of soup. Um,
Oh,
and
that's lovely.
yeah, I mean, actually, I trained in qigong quite a long time ago, but I
Mm.
only introduced it into my work last year. And then I was a bit like, why didn't I do this before? Because actually it works so well with forest bathing because there's so much reference in qigong to nature, to the
Mhm.
elements, and it's best practiced outside if you can.
Mm.
And it's a sort of a mindful movement practice which incorporates like yeah, movement, breath, and meditation.
It's
It's
very
quite
slow, isn't it? I've never done it, but isn't
yeah,
it like a slow, like you said, mindful movement?
yeah, it's quite sort of lovely breathing and moving the arms and breathing, and that's very grounding. What it does is it connects us to our body really, really well, really helps to ground us. And I say to people, remember, this is your nature. Like we are mammals, so this is your animal body, so you connect to yourself first through qigong, and then I sort of people the invitation. Now go out and connect with nature, and people are able to really sink into being. I think a lot easier rather than sometimes if we launch straight into the forest bathing, this mind, the busy
Uh,
mind, has still got the reins, and it can
yeah,
take a little bit longer to kind of let go of the thoughts and the mind that's just wants you. That's kind of like, oh, we should be doing something else, which is very
mm.
natural when we kind of it's hard sometimes to give ourselves permission to do these things, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it sounds like a
yeah,
nice flow then into it, like you said,
yeah,
slowing down
yeah.
your mind to then go into it.
No, really, people have love it. So I've kept going with it because I've had such great feedback. So yeah,
So
in there.
with all of your experiences,
Hmm.
how would you normally like tailor them specifically to someone's needs? For example, I don't know if someone's not that great at walking really far or anything like that, or just generally, yeah, you just take it as it is. You meet that person where they're at.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody would have to fill out a health and safety form for me, just because I'm outside, and it's different when you're going into a room. You can control the temperature, you can control the objects that are there, but when you're outside, I think it's important that you do have um, that I need to know. Are they okay? Do they have any sort of health things that I should be aware of, like allergies, for example? If they got stung by a
Mm,
bee
yeah.
and they had an allergy, I should know that. So it's common sense stuff. It's not like I want to know their entire lives, but it's really about their safety. And yeah, if somebody has, I mean, I've had many clients who've come to me who maybe have had hip replacements or they
Mhm.
struggling with a bad back or bad knee. And the great thing about forest bathing is we definitely don't walk fast because that's the whole point. It's all about slowing down.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't cover a huge distance because we're stopping lots and sitting down.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm very open and flexible with things like that. I mean, the soul setting journey, I would just say maybe it's not right. If somebody did have less mobility, then that wouldn't be suitable for them. But yeah, the health and safety thing is quite good because it means I can support people more closely with whatever they're dealing with. Many people come to me as well that are struggling with anxiety, depression,
Mm.
PTSD, all things like this. So it's very important for me to know so that I can hold that space and make sure that they feel safe. It's
Hmm.
such
Yeah.
an important aspect of, well, all well-being, for people to feel safe and at ease because
Hmm.
otherwise there's no point in doing it. So
Yeah, a hundred
yeah,
percent. And
yeah,
even with like you just said about the hip replacement and things like that, like to me that is a lot of information, isn't it? And with grounding, that can reduce inflammation. So that's a good aspect
yeah,
there.
yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. It's so
There's
many
so many
benefits.
benefits, yeah. So
Mm.
is there any like misconceptions with forest bathing at all? Or is it just like
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like I was saying earlier on, that's why I'm very passionate about getting across that I'm very down to earth, that yes, it does, this whole tree hugger hippie, or that it's all very woo woo. I'm so passionate about really trying to normalize this in a way. I think that, yes, sometimes when I do the retreats, there's a bit of ritual in there, but that's only because it's a way of offering thanks to nature. Because think about everything that we get from nature, that how everything in our lives, the food we
Mm,
eat, air that we breathe, the resources in our homes, the materials that we use, so much of it links back to the natural world. So it's good to give thanks, but I really try to steer away from being too heavily spiritual, or kind of ritual, deep ritual, or bringing in any too much heavy reference, um, because actually this is something that we should all be doing.
mhm,
We should. I really feel passionate about, I call it a friendship, actually, that having a friendship with nature is important for us, and it's important for the planet as well. The planet is struggling, and we are struggling.
mhm.
So having this kind of friendship shouldn't feel weird, shouldn't fit, and it's not saved for a particular group of people.
Yeah, that's it.
You don't have to be experienced. You don't have to be, you don't have to know how to meditate, for example. You don't have to be spiritual. You don't
Mhm.
have to have any experience in forest bathing. You can arrive without any knowledge. And it's not a technique that you have to keep attending a class. I mean, I always say I don't want to do myself out of a job, but
Yeah,
once you've been to a forest bathing workshop, you can then incorporate that into your daily life
yeah.
in small ways. We might not have 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is, but there's something you can take away from that you can then implement into your life. And I think that's really important, that we find ways to connect with nature on a daily basis, even if it is just 5 minutes to look out my window and appreciate, the sunlight, or listen to the birds,
Mm,
um, notice the clouds in the sky, things like that, like little things. I think it starts to feed in. And certainly my clients that come back to me on a regular basis, they've really seen a shift in their lives, in sort of welcoming nature in and feeling part of something, realizing that they are part of this kind of really amazing bigger picture.
mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I always feel a lot better in nature, and just, yeah, so much more
Mm,
refreshing. When anyone says, "What's your favorite thing to do?" It is probably walking my dogs in nature,
yeah.
when they're good and not going absolutely crazy, and then I'm not actually even recognizing that I'm in nature. But
Yeah, it's intuitive, that's the funny thing. It's intuitive. We know that when we go outside, we kind of feel better. And it's great that now we have the science to back up. Well, actually, when you go out and you take that big
mm,
sigh, because you feel like, oh God, fresh air, like I'm outside. Now we know what's going on in your body, and we know that, yeah, your nervous system is going, like, your body
mm,
kind of saying, thank you, this is where I want to be.
yeah,
Um,
totally. I
so
totally agree. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to add at all?
No, just that I'm
Keeping it.
delighted to be partnering up with you, and I'm, looking forward to seeing it all flourish. It's a really amazing platform. When I found out about it, I thought, what an absolutely fantastic idea. So
Thank
yes,
you.
look
Yeah,
forward.
we're really pleased to have you on there with all your lovely experiences as well. So you can check out Tansy on We Offer Wellness, and all of her experiences there. Thanks so much.
Thank you.